The other day, I was wanting to learn more about game development because if you know from my previous videos, you know that I've been working a little bit on game development stuff, trying to come up with stories and how to really go forward in what I want to create. And the main thing that I've had in mind is like story first, story first, story first. So I've kind of taken a step back because it's like, okay, if it was all about purely story, then game development probably wouldn't be the right medium. So once I've thought about that, I'm like, okay, let's think of a way to actually make a game fun. And this is where this video's topic comes into play. Gameplay loops. If you've played any game ever, it has a gameplay loop. Something that continues and happens and repeats continuously to keep you playing a game. And it is as simple as things that happen from moment to moment stuff to as complex as day-to-day stuff or week to week or year to year, like big, massive, overarching gameplay loops. So what I'm wanting to do today is go through what I've created for my game based off what I've been learning, and then I'll also leave a link for where I was learning this down below so that if you're interested in making games or just interested in like how gameplay loops work and how you can start to identify, like in video games, oh, this is the basic loop for like the moment to moment. Oh, this is what keeps me to come back playing every single day or whatever it may be. So I actually have an example right here that I've written out for a game that I'm wanting to work on here. The base gameplay loop of a game always starts with the moment to moment, within the seconds of your game. For example, in my game that I'm currently working on, the idea that I have for it is find enemies, kill the enemies, gain like currency and XP from killing those enemies, and then advance forward to repeat that a few seconds later. This is the same type of gameplay loop that you'd see in like Call of Duty, for example. You know, you spawn in, start the game, you run, you start advancing forward, and then you see an enemy, you kill the enemy, you gain 1 for the score streak, and then you continue moving on. And then it moves on to the minute to minute. So for the minute to minute for games, for mine here, it would be to begin a quest, kill the enemies in the quest, do whatever the quest task is. Oh, go and find this specific thing and return it back to base. And then lastly, turn in the quest. So that would be the stuff from minute to minute type of stuff. And then it moves into the hour to hour type of stuff. It could be for the game I'm working on, upgrade your base and, you know, allow yourself to like get better stuff through upgrading your base or just like making it look better, whatever it may be. Go through, clear out quests and missions and just like complete that. That's what you'd be doing to the hour to hour. And then it could also be like upgrading weapons and abilities and just like progressing yourself. And then for the day-to-day stuff, if your game's big enough to expand over like multiple days of playing, it could be like completing story arcs. For my game, like if I was wanting to expand it out, it could be like complete story arcs, like, oh hey, maybe there's the main story and then oh hey, there's like side quests and stuff like that, and it's like those ones all still have stories and things like that. So like think of like Fallout, for example. What comes to mind is Fallout New Vegas. Like on the way to completing the main story arc, on your way there, you come across all these different side quests and stuff like that, you know, as you're playing, and, you know, things that you can come back to and finish up or just play through. And before you get to the other story, it's like there's multiple story arcs with a whole bunch of different characters, all these different things in like Fallout, and that's a way that you could continue with the day-to-day. And another thing could be like defeat bosses. So like maybe every day, like towards like an end of a story arc type of thing, oh, there's a big boss fight, or maybe you have like a daily challenge, that kind of thing. And then lastly, for the idea that I have is like, oh, you can go through and explore locations that you've already been to and done quests for. So this time, instead of, you know, having to worry about like enemies coming after you and killing you and like doing the quest objective, it's like, okay, now this is like a free play type of thing where you get to go back, kind of like Lego Star Wars or any of the Lego games, where it's like, oh, okay, you complete it and then you get to go back with like any character you want back in those games. Instead of that, it's like you get to go back without having to really like worry about enemies, and you can like explore the areas and like find secrets, that kind of stuff. That's kind of the idea that I had there. So really, just to recap here, it's basically moment to moment type of actions that you continuously repeat, then minute to minute things that you continuously repeat. So I'd say for moment to moment, that's up to like a minute, the minute range, from 0 seconds to 59 seconds. That's the range that you're working between, and that's the kind of stuff that you're wanting to repeat that often. And then to the minute stuff, basically anything under an hour, that kind of stuff. And then hour to hour stuff, basically anything that takes like an hour plus multiple hours, whatever it may be. And then day to day, it's like, okay, things that span across multiple days. Like a big one for like video games like Fortnite, especially a whole bunch of like online multiplayer games, is like daily challenges. That's a very good like progression gameplay loop system there, because it keeps you coming back day to day. But it could be really anything that, you know, just spans across multiple days. So yeah, this is kind of like the general idea and my understanding at this current point of like how like core gameplay loops work in like the different time scales. There's more to it, and I think I want to make more videos talking about this as I'm learning about it more, because this is really never something that I've really looked into to learn about during like all the time that I've been making games. It's like kind of strange that I haven't really dived into this before, but you know, I'm excited like diving into it, learning about this different stuff, and like, okay, what could be the moment to moment type of things that the player continuously does? Oh, finding and killing enemies. And then, oh, minute to minute, oh, well, that's gonna be like quests. And what's also interesting to point out is basically within each of the different time scales, it has the previous time scales entire thing collapsed into one. So take, for example, the moment to moment, it's find enemies, kill enemies, gain currency, advance forward. Well, the minute to minute is, well, begin quest, kill enemies, which is that moment to moment thing. So it has kill enemies in there as that moment to moment thing. So it kind of like is incorporated into that. And the same thing with the hour to hour, where it's like clear out missions. And then kind of a similar thing with the day to day, although I feel like that's probably like the most varied, because like in the day to day, it's like, oh, explore old locations, which you're able to do after you already clear the mission / quest from the hour to hour. So it kind of all like collapses in. It's like one big loop overall. But yeah, with that being said, that is really just a general overview of what I've been learning and kind of like how I'm applying it to my game that I'm wanting to work on. I feel like when it comes to like day to day, it may be expanding it a little bit too big of a scope for what I'm wanting to work on. So I probably will just cut out the day to day stuff and basically just do everything else, because, you know, I'm not trying to make a game that you play for like multiple days. I'm just trying to make like a very simple like test game, kind of just like getting back into game development here and wanting to make a cool, fun experience for people to enjoy, like yourself, hopefully. And, you know, I'm wanting to learn about this to really make a whole player-focused, player-centric game. Yeah, hopefully I was able to explain this in a well enough way and you got some value out of this, and also have kind of a little bit of an insight into like what I'm working on here, like what I'm wanting to, you know, work towards, and I'll make sure to show my progress as I go along, because I have some cool stuff that I'm wanting to work on. Like I have like a cool idea for like a game here that I think could be really cool. Yeah, learning about gameplay loops is a very core thing of any game, and that's something I really should have like dived into more before, because I've only had like a very vague general idea, maybe one that you had before this, but now I'm like, okay, how do I like really think about like moment to moment stuff, minute to minute stuff, hour to hour stuff, day to day stuff, and you can even get crazier with it, week to week stuff. Like for example, Fortnite does a great job at week to week stuff, and I'm assuming other big major multiplayer games, I'm just saying Fortnite here because that's the one that I used to play all the time, and with that it's like, oh, weekly challenges, so it's like it works out well. And you know, there could even be month to month stuff, like, oh, maybe monthly events or challenges like that, and it's like, okay, that's when it starts getting like pretty crazy, you know. But yeah, that's like really something that I want you to think about if that's something that you're interested in, like making games, or just like whenever you're playing a game, really just maybe like think about it, like, oh, what is like the moment to moment thing? Is it, oh, killing the enemy? Is it, I don't know, solving a puzzle? Like, what is it? Like, that's something that I'm kind of like curious about, and something I'm gonna be paying more attention to as I play games as well. But yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. I'll see you in the next one.